He looked like a family man. A husband, a father, a church leader, a neighbor who waved at you while mowing his lawn. On the surface, Dennis Rader seemed ordinary, maybe even respectable. But behind closed doors he was something else. A monster who gave himself a name that still haunts Wichita, Kansas to this day, BTK. For decades he fooled everyone, his family, his co-workers, his church. He lived two lives. One as a suburban father and the other as a predator who bound, tortured, and killed. This is the story of Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. The story of how a man so ordinary could hide something so terrifying for more than 30 years. Dennis Lynn Rader was born on March 9, 1945 in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and grew up in Wichita. He was the oldest of 4 sons. To most, the Rader family looked normal. His parents worked hard and Dennis was seen as quiet, maybe even shy. But inside, Dennis was not like other children. He admitted later that from a young age, he had dark fantasies. He enjoyed capturing and killing small animals. He fantasized about tying people up. He felt powerful when he imagined controlling others. These were the first glimpses of the monster he would become. Teachers and classmates didn't notice much. He blended in, though some recalled him as awkward, withdrawn, someone who never quite fit in. He struggled with self-esteem, and as a teenager he developed disturbing fantasies that he kept hidden. After high school, Dennis joined the U.S. Air Force in 1966. He served for 4 years and was honorably discharged. He wasn't remarkable, just another serviceman returning home. When he came back to Kansas, he tried to live the American dream. He married a woman named Paula Dietz in 1971. They built a life together. He worked odd jobs, later landing a steady position with ADT Security installing home alarm systems. An ironic twist, considering his secret life. He and Paula eventually had 2 children, a boy and a girl. To the outside world, Dennis Rader was the picture of suburban stability: husband, father, church leader, Boy Scout volunteer. But under that mask of normalcy, the fantasies he'd carried since childhood were growing stronger. And in 1974 he acted on them for the first time. It was January 15, 1974, when Wichita was shaken by one of the most brutal crimes in its history. The Otero family lived on Edgemore Street. That morning, Joseph and Julie Otero, along with 2 of their children, Joseph Jr. and Josephine, were murdered inside their home. Dennis Rader had carefully planned the attack. He broke in, cut the phone line, and waited. When the family entered, he pulled a gun. He told them it was just a robbery, that he only wanted money and a car. But that was a lie. He bound each family member. He strangled Joseph and Julie first, forcing the children to watch. Then he killed the children, methodical, cold, without mercy. He strangled little Joseph Jr. and then Josephine, who was just 11 years old. This was not just murder. It was control. It was domination. And it was the birth of the BTK killer. Wichita police were horrified. Nothing like this had ever happened in the quiet Kansas town. Investigators had no idea who could commit such an atrocity. The city was on edge. Families locked their doors at night, suspicious of everyone. But for Rader, this was only the beginning. The murders gave him a sense of power he craved. And soon he wanted recognition. Later that year he killed again. His victim was Catherine Bright, a young woman living alone. He attacked her in her home, stabbed her, and left her brother badly injured. Still, police had no suspects. In 1975, Rader struck again, killing Shirley Vian while her children were locked in a bathroom. Then, in 1977, he murdered Nancy Fox in her home. After Nancy Fox's death, Rader made his move. He contacted the media and the police. He wanted everyone to know who was terrorizing Wichita. In his letters, he spelled it out: bind them, torture them, kill them. That was his formula. That was his name. The city now had a killer who not only murdered but also taunted them, sending letters, poems, and packages. He wanted fame. He wanted fear. And he got it. But here's what made BTK so terrifying: he looked like everyone else. While Wichita was paralyzed with fear, Dennis Rader was mowing his lawn, sitting in church, and raising his kids. He became president of his church council. He organized Boy Scout trips. He went to work every day like any ordinary man. His wife Paula had no idea. His children had no idea. Neighbors described him as polite, quiet, reliable. No one suspected that the man living a normal suburban life was the very same man writing chilling letters to the police. Through the 1980s, BTK continued his reign of terror. He killed Maureen Hedge in 1985, Vicki Wegerle in 1986, and Dolores Davis in 1991. Each murder followed his pattern of binding, torturing, and killing. But then silence. For over a decade, BTK seemed to disappear. The city began to breathe again. Perhaps he had moved. Perhaps he had died. Perhaps the nightmare was finally over. But Dennis Rader hadn't stopped. He was simply lying low, raising his children, going to work, and waiting. In 2004, 30 years after his first murders, BTK suddenly resurfaced. A local newspaper ran a story on the anniversary of the Otero murders. It speculated that BTK might be dead or imprisoned. Rader couldn't stand it. He needed the attention. He sent a package to the newspaper with photographs of a victim and a copy of her driver's license. He wanted everyone to know he was still alive. Over the next year, he sent more packages, letters, poems, puzzles, even a Barbie doll with its hands tied. He taunted investigators just as he had in the 1970s. But this time, his arrogance caught up with him. In 2005, Rader asked police if a floppy disk could be traced. The police responded in the newspaper, pretending it would be safe. Rader believed them. He sent a disk. And on it, police found hidden metadata linking the file to a computer at Christ Lutheran Church. The name Dennis Rader appeared. Investigators moved quickly. They obtained DNA from Rader's daughter through medical records. It was a match to the BTK crime scenes. After 31 years, they finally had him. On February 25, 2005, Dennis Rader was pulled over while driving near his home. The man who had terrorized Wichita for decades was arrested without incident. When questioned, Rader didn't deny it. Instead, he calmly confessed. In chilling detail, he described each murder step by step, as if recounting a routine. He showed no remorse. Detectives were stunned at his lack of emotion. He spoke like a man discussing chores, not brutal killings. In court, his double life was exposed. His wife and children were devastated. His church, his community, his co-workers, all shocked to learn that the man they knew was BTK. He pled guilty to 10 counts of first-degree murder. In August 2005, Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms, one for each victim. He will never be free again. For the families of the victims, it was some measure of justice, but no sentence could undo the pain and loss. Wichita was left scarred, forever remembering the years of fear under BTK's shadow. Rader now sits in a Kansas prison, an old man stripped of his power. But his story lingers, a chilling reminder of how evil can hide in plain sight. Because sometimes the most dangerous monsters don't live in the shadows. They live right next door.